Voting on the motion to approve the appointment recommendation as presented. Mr. Addison.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan.
Aye.
Ms. Lambert.
Aye.
Ms. Robertson. Ms. Lynch. Ms. Trammell. Ms. Newbill. Aye. Vice President Nye and President Jones. That appointment has been approved.
Madam Clerk, please call the first name on the list of citizen comment period speakers.
The first speaker is Betty Squire.
Good evening. I'm Betty Squire, and I'm representing Engine Company number 9. I'm here with other members, and we are very excited about a program that we have planned for this Wednesday at the state capitol, right in front of the Commonwealth Public Safety Memorial. We will be remembering 2 of the original 10 Black firefighters that was hired in 1950 that lost their lives in the line of duty on June the 14th, 1963. That's why the date. Captain Harvey S. Hicks was a firefighter, and so was Douglas P. Evans. They will be represented by members of their families. The program will last 1 hour. It will start at 6:30 and end at 7:30. The next project that you will hear about Engine Company number 9 is that we are planning to do a documentary. So if you know of members of their families or you have pictures, please let us know. We would love to have copies of your pictures, but we would love to talk with you also. We know that God has Captain Hicks and Firefighter Evans in his keeping, but we still remember them, we miss them, we love them, and we continue to keep them in our hearts. We hope that we will see you Wednesday at the state capitol at 6:30 as we remember and honor them. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Dr. Newbill?
President Jones, I would be remiss if I did not recognize and thank Ms. Betty Squire for her service on this body as a city council member and for her leadership and just tireless commitment to working to ensure that fire and police, the inaugural men and women, are memorialized, will never be hidden figures, and are celebrated. And so I simply want to say thank you on behalf of all Richmonders for your service and for your leadership in this regard.
Next speaker, please.
The next speaker is Thomas Courtney.
Excuse me. Good evening, everyone. I brought 15 copies if you'd like to distribute these later, but it's something you can review in your free time. I also sent it electronically if you'd like to review it with each other. I'm here before you tonight. I'm going way back to 2016 when I started a short-term rental in Miss Robertson's district. And during that time, I also acquired a City of Richmond business license and certificate of zoning of occupancy to ensure that I was doing that legally. And it wasn't until Ordinance 2019-343 that Mark Olinger determined anything that's not in the zoning ordinance is illegal. About a year after that, it was June 22nd, 2020, when there was about an hour of discussion at City Council, just like this. Mr. Olinger indicated he was not aware of how many owner occupancy residences were operating. Ms. Lynch, you indicated that you wanted this to be a short-term rental town. Mr. Wack indicated that they did not want to tax an illegal activity and they wanted to spend more time on enforcement, or excuse me, more time on revenue collection than enforcement. And Ms. Newbill, you indicated that the length of discussion indicated
Sir,
that
if you
there
could
was.
all your comments to the President Council, not the individual members, please. Thank you.
Sure. I am quoting from the city minutes, which is a video online, which you're welcome to review, and you're also quoted in here as well. My request tonight is simple. I'm requesting that you add the ordinance 2019-343, which has a resolution of intent to be revised, as well as ordinance 2023-151, which was passed just 15 days after introduction, to the Finance Department meeting on the 16th and the Planning Commission meeting on the 20th. There are unresolved issues that need to be reconciled now that these ordinances are in conflict. The primary reason is the Finance Department is forecasting revenue of $3 million+ from 1,000+ short-term rental operators, and only 30 are legally registered with the city, yet an enforcement activity is going into place next month. And that's all I have. Do you understand my request for a motion?
Sir, you have 30 seconds to say what you wish.
I'm addressing the council president, requesting a motion to add those items to the agenda of the finance meeting and the planning commission meeting so that citizens have an opportunity to get their questions answered.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The next speaker is Abidiah Sims.
Madam Clerk, please call the next speaker, and he can share her intents as well as part of his time.
The next speaker is Benny Gates.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Benny Gates, and I reside in the 9th District, where Council President Dr. Michael Jones is our representative. And because I'm also a Richmonder, Councilwoman Reba Trammell represents me as well, because she's truly the people's representative. I'm a member of Virginia Organizing, and I stand before you in support of the forthcoming rental inspection program. Several decades ago, I lived in housing that was often not up to code and almost in deplorable conditions. And it definitely was not safe, healthy, or affordable. I'm knowledgeable on the topic because I have shared experiences with many residents of this great city. I wish there had been a rental inspection program when I was growing up that would have held those landlords more accountable for things that were and still are a threat to public health and housing equity. Many Richmonders currently live with black mold, unwanted pests, broken refrigerators, faulty plumbing, leaky toilets, and malfunctioning showers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the list goes on. In fact, I have experienced all of these aforementioned issues myself while growing up in the city at some point or another. It was not fair then, and it most certainly is not fair now. It's sad that we even need to implement a rental inspection program to ensure the more vulnerable populations and those with fewer resources can live in suitable housing that is safe, healthy, and affordable. All three, not just one of these. In closing, how can we as a society expect our future, which is our children, to learn, grow, and succeed in life when they go home and breathe mold, have unwanted pests crawling all over their food and on them sometimes, or they don't feel safe because doors and windows don't lock properly, or the water can't be used to cook, clean, and take care of personal hygiene, although rent is always paid on time each month. We are only asking that all landlords be held accountable to adhere to the housing codes already on the books by maintaining safe, healthy, and affordable housing. We are only asking that all landlords be held accountable to adhere to the housing codes already on the books by maintaining safe, healthy, and affordable housing. We are only asking that all landlords be held accountable to adhere to the housing codes already on the books by maintaining safe, healthy, and affordable housing. God bless you and thank you all.
The last speaker is Kevin Randesi.
Good evening, everybody. I came here tonight to talk specifically about city services and storm drainage issues that are on my street that I live on Rodman Road. Without getting into all of the specific details involving the issues that I have been having, I'd just like to say that until I hired an attorney, the city of Richmond finally took some action last week and did stormwater maintenance to all of the drains that were on Rodman Road. The brunt of all the flooding that occurs on this street when heavy rains occur actually occurs on my property. And Councilwoman Trammell has been over to my house several times. I've sent her pictures every time we do have heavy rains, but you can actually see that's my house there. It's a whole river of flooding. Personally, I've incurred thousands of dollars in expenses in trying to alleviate these flooding issues. And I do plan with my attorney that I've hired to pursue all legal action to recover the following expenses that I've incurred, including attorney's fees in the amount of $804 plus whatever they're going to charge me this month and whatever goes on the next few months as well. I rented an excavator, and that cost me $1,532.61. I also paid a landscaping company $1,250 to build up the storm drain system that the city of Richmond has failed to maintain. But in closing, I ask these questions. I ask, why does it take me to hire an attorney to get the city of Richmond to come out and maintain the storm drain issues and the storm drains on our street? And I also ask, why can't the city of Richmond be proactive in resolving storm drain issues instead of being reactive, or in our case, non-reactive? And then if the stormwater culverts aren't being maintained, why do property owners have to pay stormwater dues? That's all. Unless y'all want to look at these pictures.
Madam Clerk, if we could get those and just make copies of those and hand those out to all council members. Ms. Trammell?
Thank you, Mr. President. Kevin, I've been out there to your property. I've seen it. I've walked it with you, saw the flooding and all that. I made a call to Lincoln Saunders. He picked up right away and he said he was going to get right on it. You've been to some of our 8th district meetings. You've talked to Howard Glenn and others that have said that that project is just not where you go there and clean up the stormwater. They've been on the property with you, walked it over there to the other part. And then sometimes you got to be careful how you go on somebody else's property. And, that's what the city has our attorneys for, so that they can look into all that. Because we can be sued. And I think I brought that out. But I know that Lincoln has been right on it. He have sent the people out there to look at it, and it's not an easy fix. And they have said it's not an easy fix. But those pictures that you have, it shows that the flooding is just not, it goes all the way around, all the way down the street to the other neighbors. So I just want to let, the administration know that we appreciate that he's, taking our calls and sending people out there to look at it. I didn't know that you'd hired an attorney and that you did that until you just came here tonight to read it. And I don't know, I'm not an attorney, so we have our city attorney over there, the administration, that will probably be contacting you to see why did you do that without giving us proper, time to get it fixed. Because Kevin, like I said, when I saw it, the water was up here. It couldn't be fixed overnight.
Yeah, well, we did inquire about this in 2020, and the city of Richmond basically, the people in public works basically lied to me and did nothing. They walked the property and then walked back to their office, and did nothing. So, and that was, it was my personal opinion that the only way that I could get resolution on the issue was to go ahead and hire an attorney. And I can sit here and say tonight that if I had not hired that attorney, I don't believe that the public works would have gone out there and done the maintenance on the storm drain issues because,
But the problem is they did come out there.
well, they did after I hired the attorney and copied all the emails.
Give them time enough to do their job per se, because you had to get the equipment out there to do it without giving the city the proper.
No.
Yes.
And I'm gonna stop just because I don't want the back and forth. Ms. Trammell, if you're finished with your comments, sir, you are past your time.
Yeah.
We thank you for coming. Ms. Trammell, if there's anything you wish to say in closing.
I just know the administration's going to reach out to you. I do know that, Kevin.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Ms. Trammell. Thank you, sir.
And Mr. President, that concludes the list of citizen comment period speakers for this evening.
Ms. Clerk, let's move on to review any amendments to tonight's agenda.
Yes, Mr. President, the amendments to tonight's agenda are as follows. Item 1, ordinance 2022-205 will be continued to the Monday, July 24th council meeting. Item 3, ordinance 2023-090 will be amended later this evening and then continued to the Monday, June 26th council meeting. Item 7, ordinance 2023-121 will be amended later this evening and then continued to the Monday, June 26th council meeting. Item 9, ordinance 2023-136 will be continued to the Monday, July 24th council meeting. Item 12, ordinance 2023-152 will be continued to the Monday, June 26th council meeting. Item 17, ordinance 2023-157 will be amended later this evening and then continued to the Monday, June 26th council meeting. Item 33, resolution 2023-R011 will be continued to the Monday, September 11th council meeting. Item 34, resolution 2023-R024 will be continued to the Monday, July 24th council meeting. And then lastly, item 38, resolution 2023-R029 will be continued to the Monday, June 26th council meeting. Mr. President, those are all the amendments to tonight's agenda.
Does any member on council have any additional amendments to tonight's agenda? Is there a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
So moved, Mr. President.
Council is now voting on this evening's agenda amendments as presented. Mr. Addison.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan. Ms. Lambert.
Aye.
Ms. Robertson. Ms. Lynch. Ms. Trammell. Ms. Newville.
Aye.
Vice President Nye. And President Jones.
Aye.
The amended agenda is before you, and the consent agenda consists of the following items. Item 2, ordinance 2022-375. Item 4, ordinance 2023-106. Item 5, ordinance 2023-114. Item 6, ordinance 2023-119. Item 8, ordinance 2023-130. Item 10, ordinance 2023-144. Item 11, ordinance 2023-149. Item 13, ordinance 2023-153. Item 14, ordinance 2023-154. Item 15, ordinance 2023-155. Item 16, ordinance 2023-156. Item 18, ordinance 2023-158. Item 19, ordinance 2023-159. Item 20, ordinance 2023-160. Item 21, ordinance 2023-161. Item 22, ordinance 2023-162. Item 23, ordinance 2023-163. Item 24, ordinance 2023-164. Item 25, ordinance 2023-165. Item 26, ordinance 2023-166. Item 27, ordinance 2023-167. Item 28, ordinance 2023-168. Item 29, ordinance 2023-169. Item 30, ordinance 2023-170. Item 31, ordinance 2023-171. Item 32, ordinance 2023-172. Item 35, resolution 2023-R026. Item 36, resolution 2023-R027. And lastly, item 37, resolution 2023-R028. Mr. President, those are all the items on tonight's consent agenda.
We will now have a public hearing on the consent agenda items. Are there persons who wish to speak in opposition of any items on the consent agenda? If so, I would ask that you would make your way to the center aisle. All those that are here to speak in opposition to any item on the consent agenda, please make your way to the center aisle. And before you speak, I just want to give everyone an opportunity to line in. All right, thank you, ma'am.
Mr. President, before we get underway with the public hearing, how much time will speakers have?
If these are all that are here to speak in opposition, we will do the regular 3 minutes.
Okay.
Good evening, President Jones, Vice President Nye, City Council members. My name is Rebecca Gwynn. I'm Deputy Director at the Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources. The department is the Commonwealth's Fish and Wildlife Management and Conservation Agency. I'm here tonight to speak about item number 8 on your consent agenda, Ordinance 2023-130, amending the city code by adding a new section 4-401 concerning exotic and wild animals. I'm sympathetic to the intent of the ordinance, that is addressing public safety and animal welfare. Like your staff, our conservation police officers and wildlife biologists address situations where we are unsure about what animals or conditions they may face. They've encountered large cobras, venomous snakes from the Amazon, crocodiles, lions, and other large cats. They've also had to remove dozens of animals from locations where hoarding has occurred. So while I appreciate the intent of the ordinance, the current language is confusing, and as written, will put city residents and employees in jeopardy of violating state laws and regulations. I offer 2 examples for you. In Part A, the definition of exotic wild animals is complicated and difficult to understand. Animals that are not specifically precluded appear by default to be allowed to be possessed, because there's no reference to other laws or regulations governing the possession of exotic and native wildlife. Additionally, various direct and indirect references to birds have left city residents who are lawfully permitted falconers confused about whether or not possession of wild-caught raptors for use in that sport is allowed. My second example, in Part C, the proposed language includes an allowance for people to sell animals to a zoological park, which is a violation of state law for native and naturalized species. It enables city staff to release surrendered animals to the wild, which is also a violation of state law and regulation. I'm requesting that you continue this item to your next meeting to enable me, city staff, other stakeholders, and our respective legal counsels the opportunity to refine the language for clarity while maintaining its intent. I only learned of this proposal as the result of a news story in late May, and over the last several weeks, I've worked with city staff in the Department of Animal Care and Control on recommended changes.
You have 30 seconds.
However, the very limited time and late input from other stakeholders has precluded a more thoughtful effort. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you this evening.
Good evening, esteemed members of the City Council. As we gather here today to discuss Ordinance 2023-130, I, Eden Elmore, stand before you as an apprentice falconer and proud member of the Virginia Falconers Association, offering my unique perspective in opposition to this proposed ordinance. My interest in falconry began with my great-grandfather. He was a World War II veteran and charter member of the North American Falconers Association, the largest membership falconry organization in the world. Though I never had the privilege of meeting him, his love for falconry permeated my childhood. From his handcrafted wooden perches to his vibrant red hoods and his meticulously painted birds in flight, his works were a constant reminder of his dedication and love for this ancient sport. The paradox of the stern veteran's tender creations drove me to attend Virginia Falconers Association meets. Here's what I found. To become a falconer is hard, very hard. It is one of the most regulated sports in America. To embark on this journey, you must first secure a sponsor to oversee and train you for 2 years, a daunting task given the limited number of active general or master level falconers in the state of Virginia. Then comes the construction of an enclosure meticulously designed to meet strict guidelines. And finally, one must pass an exam that spans from the ethics and biology of falconry to the diseases affecting avian species. This comprehensive exam takes years of dedicated study to master. Only after completing these arduous steps can one obtain a permit and trap a hawk. In America, it is customary to begin with a red-tailed hawk. What captivates me about falconry is that in the wild, over 1/3 of red-tails do not survive their first year. By trapping a young hawk, hunting with it over the winter, and safely releasing it in the spring, a long-standing tradition in falconry, we contribute to Virginia's ongoing success in wildlife conservation. Falconers have, in this way, helped bring species from the peregrine falcon to the goshawk back from the brink of extinction. I have checked all the boxes, secured a sponsor, built an enclosure, taken the test, gotten my permit. But if this ordinance passes as it is currently written, I will not be able to pursue my lifelong passion and obtain a bird. While zoos and rehabilitation centers may continue their work, the language of the ordinance neglects to make any provisions for falconers, despite our existing highly regulated status and permits or our lasting contributions to conservation. Therefore, I implore you to help preserve this fading art, a cultural heritage of America passed down from old war veterans to young queer individuals like me, by taking the time to amend or reject this ordinance. Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is Corey Basham. I live in the 7th District, and I'm a master falconer. Been a falconer for 12 years now. Had the opportunity to utilize those birds in falconry, which you've learned is the pursuit of wild game using trained birds of prey. But I've also been able to use those birds in education, which I think I'm most proud of in my falconry years. It, I believe, gives a unique opportunity for individuals to see these birds up close. And we're only able to do that because we are able to possess them and train them to be able to be around folks like that. You know, especially city kids who are not going to have the opportunity to get out into the wild and see these birds and understand their importance ecologically. I think it really impresses upon them that importance. So falconry has been practiced for thousands of years. Like I said, it's a method of hunting using trained birds, and it's now preserved by licensed individuals in the United States and across the world. The requirements right now are basically inspection of facilities and equipment, testing for appropriate knowledge, reporting of capture and disposition of birds, a 2-year apprenticeship served under a master falconer, license renewal every 3 years, and inspection whenever DWR decides it is warranted. So it's obviously highly regulated. The United Nations Education, Science, and Culture Organization, also known as UNESCO, has approved falconry as a cultural practice deserving of inscription on their list of intangible cultural heritage as a living human heritage. That lists falconry alongside other cultural traditions, pursuits, and practices that should be preserved, protected, and continued as a remarkable part of the fabric of human history. So Ordinance 2023-130, as it is currently proposed for approval, will not allow for falconers to utilize wild trap birds in falconry, which is how the majority of individuals, especially beginners, practice. Therefore, the Virginia Falconers Association, along with the resident falconers of Richmond, propose that the council amend the ordinance in question to include language that assures falconers or anyone with a license to possess wildlife issued by a federal or state agency will not be subject to a ban on wildlife within city limits. Thank you.
I'm Louis Waskey. I'm here representing several organizations. I'm a former board member of the American Federation of Aviculture. I keep and propagate large parrots. I'm a free flyer. I'm sympathetic to the falconers that are here. I'm also a member of U.S. Art, several other national organizations, and I'm here to oppose this ordinance, to pretty much whitelist in there for birds. If y'all would just put birds in there that are allowed and take the wild part out and domestic bred and legally imported, it'll clear up a lot of problems. Also, this is being brought up, seeing this issue for public safety and first responders. I could find no information. I contacted several organizations. There's no information or documentation of a first responder being injured or killed by an exotic animal. Most of the time when there's a problem, it is the owner or the handler, not the public or first responder that's injured. Also, most of these animals that y'all are listing, restricting, or prohibited here are already regulated by state and federal agencies. Virginia Department of Natural Resources regulates them, and if there's violations of people keeping these animals without a permit, they are the ones that have jurisdiction. Also, any other law enforcement officer can enforce state laws. And also, in essence, what y'all are doing here is making a white list of animals that's okay to keep and a black list. This is very complicated. There's over 30,000 species of animals in the world. Nobody can come up with a complete list. The state of Florida recently tried to do this, and the Florida Wildlife Commission decided to avoid doing a black and white list. And this is, in essence, what y'all are doing here. Also, the city needs to recognize that the animal industry in our state is somewhere around $3 billion a year. And when you start
You have 30
regulating,
seconds.
thank you. When you start regulating and prohibiting animals, it's going to cost the city revenues. It's going to cost jobs. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the City of Richmond Board of Supervisors. My name is Abbott Hoffman. I'm a retired Army Sergeant, Virginia State Coordinator for the American Federation of Agriculture, and Vice President of Central Virginia Bird Club. I am present here tonight to ask you to oppose Ordinance 2023 TAC 130, which is concerning exotic and wild animals. There are already state and federal prohibitions and restrictions already in place for nearly all animals you are defining as exotic and wild. The Commonwealth of Virginia already has in place regulations on such animals. Most of these regulations are poorly written and out of the ordinary. All that you have to do is reach out to these departments with the federal and state agencies. Putting in place these bans that you attempt to do don't just affect the people of your county or your city or yourself, but it also affects the businesses in your area and the surrounding areas statewide. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me tonight, and please oppose this ordinance.
Greetings, President. My name is Alan Shipman. I'm in the 3rd District of Richmond. I am here to oppose item 30 and its companion papers, which are about the referendum in the casino. As we all know, there was a referendum that democratically rejected this casino project. And my main concerns are, among many, one is right now the time in our city that we want to weaken the power of the public referendum. In the last General Assembly, there were efforts to put forward a referendum on enshrining a woman's right to choose. Do we sincerely believe that if that was a referendum that passed and the governor or General Assembly came out and said there was disinformation or we didn't like the racial makeup of how people voted, so we're going to have to do this again, that we would truly accept that? Even across the nation with the Stop Cop City movement that are now moving towards the referendum, the first thing that I thought of was, thank God they don't live in Richmond, because I'm not sure that this body properly gives the respect to democratic referendums that are there. We also have to think about the history of rejecting referendums in Richmond. We're talking about reconnecting Jackson Ward, but one of the problems that caused the destruction of Jackson Ward was a highway that rejected 2 public referendums. Took it out of the will of the people into where the closed room deals were made, and Jackson, we cannot reconnect Jackson Ward with the same type of politics and priorities that destroyed it. I think we also have to be careful about how we frame these things. I hear a lot of people talking about the racial makeup of it. I would love to remind people that Richmond, despite the gentrification that has priced out many of our Black neighbors, is still a majority Black city, meaning that even if every white person in the city decided they didn't want it, they would not have enough votes to overcome the amount of votes of Black voters in this city. And the truth is that Black people are not united for or against this project. And we have to make sure that we're reflecting and respecting not just the Black votes that voted for this project, but the Black votes like mine who voted against this project. Because I believe we need models like Maggie Walker, who said that we will come together and turn our pennies into dollars. But casinos are predatory industries where people bring in their dollars and they leave with pennies. I believe that we can do better. I believe that if the tides were turned on any other issue or referendum or any different party, that this would not be something that is accepted. And I think we also need to think about, even in the benefits, we have $30,000 to RPS, but $200,000 to help for gambling addiction. I think that's telling of the type of impact that casinos make. Please respect the referendum and democracy and vote no. Thank you.
Good evening, Council President. Good evening, members. My name is Joseph Rogers, resident of the 7th District. I apologize for my voice tonight. It is not as it normally is. However, I come here today to speak of opposition to ordinance, or to number 32, the ordinance on the imposing or impending amphitheater in the 6th District at the Tredegar Historic Site. I used to work at the American Civil War Museum back in 2020, and in the midst of all of the things that were happening at that time, when everyone was locked in their homes and only very few of us were actually going into the building at the time, it suddenly appeared on the hill several trucks and sawing machines and other objects, which ultimately ended up destroying the objects that were on that hill to mark the actual history of that site. That history of that site includes the enslavement of over 200 people by November of 1864. There have been no comments in talking about this because it seems that when everything else rightly took center stage later in that season, this is in early May of 2020, that this kind of got pushed backwards. But I did at the time take the pictures, and I am sharing them with you here today because it is an interesting thing to think about. The only markers and memorials that had been there to dedicate and memorialize those people who had been enslaved at that site are now gone. I cannot say as to where they are. I do not know as to what is the condition of them now, but I do know that they are no longer present, that many of them were actually damaged and destroyed over the course of the removal process, as evidenced in the images provided. So I know that we are unfortunately at a point where, since I was unable to attend the meeting last Monday to speak on this, that this is likely to still get passed. But I would feel remiss if I did not at least share some of the information that used to be on those sites, on those signs, and more importantly, recite the poem that was on the monument to the enslaved.
You have 30 seconds.
The poem reads, "Hear voices, journey of rumbling water, laps rocks bald, falls of James and sand soft enough to leave easy memory, spills history. Filtered ghosts step forward from fragments among the ruins pierced into archaeological significance. Historians ponder, chin in palm, what is history made of? Bricks and bones, tales entombed, unearthed recently, will become long ago. Women's white teeth stare from faces, colors of earth, of autumn. Amazing messages of hope and mean fates unerased."
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. That's your time.
Torture, gravity of whips, tells time treks.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. That is your time.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Miller. I'm here on behalf of the Pet Advocacy Network, and we're here on behalf of the responsible pet care community to respectfully request that you revise the current draft of ordinance number 2023-130 regarding the addition of an exotic animal and wild animal provision. As the advocacy voice of the responsible pet care community, the Pet Advocacy Network represents the interests and expertise of retailers, companion animal suppliers, distributors, pet owners, and everyone involved in making sure that there is happy, healthy pet ownership and interactions within the United States. We routinely advocate for legislative and regulatory proposals to advance the public interest in protecting public health and safety and the health of companion animals. And as such, we offer an unmatched experience on legislative efforts to verify and certify that the health and well-being of pets are certified between when they're born and when they're taken home to be part of their families. We appreciate the efforts to keep Richmond safe while also protecting wild animals. And we agree that certain animals, lions, tigers, jaguars, should not be owned by private citizens and that they require a level of care, management, and security that is well beyond what responsible pet owners and serious hobbyists can provide. However, we are asking that you make two revisions to the proposed ordinance. The first revision we are suggesting pertains to venomous or poisonous reptiles or amphibians. Currently, the language reads as any venomous or poisonous reptile or amphibian. This language, unfortunately, is incredibly broad and could restrict the kinds of pets that some responsible pet owners may seek to own or may already own. For instance, a serious hobbyist may be interested in keeping a technically venomous snake like the Western hognose, whose venom is not medically equivalent to anything serious and is more equivalent to that of a bee sting, but due to this broad language, would not be able to. That's why we recommend the addition of medically significant as a qualifier, making the sentence now read medically significant venomous or poisonous reptiles or amphibians. This would protect the public health and safety and continue to allow responsible hobbyists and pet owners the freedom of informed pet choice. Additionally, we would recommend that rather than listing out specific mammals that may be owned, the city use those small mammals bred in captivity
You have
as
30 seconds.
or for the purpose of being companion animals. A list like the one currently included inadvertently creates a whitelist, which we know can lead to confusion. We're hoping that we can collaborate to find a way to protect the community of Richmond while also protecting pet choice. And I've provided our comments that have additional information on what we're seeking to potentially work with you on here with a copy for each member.
Mr. Clerk, are there individuals who signed up in opposition to speak virtually?
Yes, Mr. President, we have 4 individuals that have signed up prior to the 10 a.m. deadline this morning to speak virtually. The first speaker is Gene Stevens. You may unmute yourself and proceed with your comments. Gene Stevens, you can proceed. I see that you've unmuted yourself.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my camera to work. Unfortunately, I can't.
We can
Can you hear me okay? Thank you. I'll begin. On January 24th, 2011, the state of Virginia unanimously voted 97-0 as a bipartisan approval for House Bill 1442, which legalized falconry for the entire state of Virginia. Good evening, Mr. President and City Council members. My name is Gene Stevens, and I am the president of the Virginia Falconers Association. I'm virtually before you today representing all the Virginia falconers in the state, and not just the 2 federally licensed constituents who currently sit before you. While I personally do not live in Richmond, I'm here because, if approved as is, Item 8, Ordinance 2023-130, would make what is currently legal in every other county, town, and city in the state suddenly non-compliant, and potentially Corey and Eden could be charged with a Class 3 misdemeanor, as is noted in Section F of this ordinance. The Virginia Falconers Association, in conjunction with the Virginia Department of Wildlife Resources, faced this same ordinance dilemma in Fairfax County in 2017 and again in Loudoun County earlier this year. and in each instance, we provided the one-sentence verbiage update necessary to help ensure that the legitimate individuals were not caught up in the vagueness of the ordinance the way it is currently written. This information was passed along to Mayor Stoney's office a week ago, but is not included in the current ordinance before you this evening. While I understand the need for a wildlife ordinance, it should be accomplished responsibly and not in a manner so as to contradict what both federal and state government has already approved and stringently regulate. We believe it is irresponsible to ask you to pass such an ordinance that would immediately impact at least 2 current federally licensed falconers, 2 of your constituents, and puts at risk any future falconer who would need or want to move to the city of Richmond in the immediate future. While I only have 3 minutes, I know some of you might be asking what it is in the ordinance that would cause the non-compliance. I direct you to page 1, section A. The term exotic or wild animal means warm-blooded animal, which can be normally found in the wild. That definition includes birds, as they are warm-blooded animals. You will then point out to me that further down in the paragraph that domestically bred or imported birds do not constitute exotic or wild. That does not exonerate 90% of all falconers in the state who trap wild indigenous raptors, work with them for a year, and then release them back to the wild
30 seconds.
after the season, which has helped alleviate 80% of the mortality rate for birds of prey, and the successful revitalization of the peregrine falcon's removal from the endangered species list. In conclusion, we seek the addition of permitted falconers and their birds in the current ordinance before it is approved, so that we can continue this centuries-old tradition. I'm here to answer any questions if you have.
The next speaker is Charles Poole.
Thank you, the clerk, Mr. President, and Madam Vice President. My name is Charles Poole, and I'm representing today the Oregon Hill Home Improvement Council. We're asking respectfully a continuance of Ordinance 2023-172 for the amphitheater. This ordinance would allow the amphitheater to recoup all admission and real estate taxes for the next 20 years for up to $37 million in tax funds. This negotiations were made in secret over the last year, and it is very concerning that the next door neighbors, Oregon Hill and the Virginia War Memorial, were not allowed any input in this document. We have legitimate concerns that could be mitigated. For example, the stage is aimed directly at the Virginia War Memorial in Oregon Hill. There's no mention of sound in this agreement. There's no mention of a cutoff time for performances. The venue expects 7,500 attendees, but it's not providing a single parking place. So we ask for you to please continue this so that we can make some mitigation matters of our legitimate concerns. And it certainly, I think, the public realizes that a free shuttle could be provided by the venue for off-site parking. The stage could be reoriented to the northeast so it does not blast the Virginia War Memorial in Oregon Hill. A 10 p.m. cutoff would be appropriate for events. It'd be appropriate to close the western entrance to the venue so people would not be encouraged to park in Oregon Hill. So we have legitimate concerns, and we feel like there's no reason to rush this through in a week after negotiations have been taking place for probably a full year. And just keep in mind that this is significant tax money involved, $37 million that the city will not receive in tax money that would be returned to the venue.
You have 30 seconds.
And that we would appreciate your consideration. And thank you very much.
The next speaker is Brian Green. Brian Green, if you're in the meeting virtually, can you raise your hand to be acknowledged?
Control Shift M.
The next speaker is Debbie Rowe.
Good evening, Council. My name is Debbie Rowe, and I want to speak in opposition to the pending casino legislation. I want to talk about the vote first. Much has been made by some on council about how close the casino vote was, but it is only ever viewed through the lens of those that lost, ignoring the majority of who prevailed against all odds, $2.6 million worth, and won. The field was never level. It was always tilted heavily in favor of the developers because of the money. Our vote should stand. Referendums were meant to be used by the rank and file to directly impact legislation that citizens feel is fair or unfair. It is egregious. It's an egregious act for council to ignore our vote and to referendum us to the point of exhaustion. We don't, as far as money involved, we don't need any more industries in our city dropping wads of cash to influence our legislators. Accepting money from casino gaming developers and then voting on casino legislation is a conflict of interest. Any councilor or legislator who accepts dollars from lobbyists should recuse themselves to avoid any suggestion of impropriety. This is a huge problem. Looking at the community benefits, there's a liberal use of the term, quote, good faith attempt, unquote. But how do you really measure that? What's the criteria? And the answer is there really isn't any. This is just a way for developers to avoid accountability. Moving this legislation forward now will create unnecessary friction in the city at a time when we need to work together to address the housing crisis, gun violence, and create housing for the unsheltered. Let's keep our focus on the folks and issues that need it most. Thank you.
Mr. President, that concludes virtual speakers.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Are there those that wish to speak in favor of any items on the consent agenda? Persons that wish to speak in favor of items on the consent agenda would ask that you would make your way to the center aisle. And again, this is for those that are able. If you're not able to stand the duration of the line, we just ask that you just make your way down once you have opportunity. Once it goes down. So, and we'll take that into consideration. Yes, ma'am.
First and foremost, I give praise and thanks to Almighty God, from whom all blessings flow. I'm Kathy Hughes, the founder and chairperson.
Ms. Hughes, if you would pause for one moment, please.
Just, and the reason why we ask everyone to stand and get in the center aisle proposition, we have to extend the same amount of time to both sides, both those in favor and those in opposition. So I just wanted that shared at this point, just to my colleagues and or anyone else keeping score at home. Ms. Hughes, God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, President Jones and distinguished members of the City Council. I'm here in support of 2023 Ordinance 171. The good folks of Richmond have a rare opportunity to determine the economic future of their city and generate revenue that will impact all citizens for generations to come. The One Entertainment Complex will do a lot more than produce $30 million per year in tax revenue. It will also assist Richmond in investing in its families, employing its residents, and creating a stronger, safer city with better schools and services for all who reside within its boundaries. The One Entertainment Complex will be a catalyst for other entrepreneurs to create new enterprises that not only will highlight Richmond's unique culture and employ its residents, but will also enhance the city's entrepreneurial spirit. From Walmsley to the West End, Scott's Addition to the South Side, Forest Hill to the Fan, and Churchill to the North Side. Every citizen deserves a Richmond that thrives and businesses that invest back in its economy. We have been blessed to do business in this city for over 25 years, and now we want to engage all of Richmond once again with this exciting and beneficial venture, the One Entertainment Complex. Thank you for allowing me to make comments.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. Thank you, President Jones, Vice President Nye, esteemed members of the council. I want to start off by saying thank you for how welcome we at Churchill Downs have felt here in your community. While we are a gaming company, we're not Las Vegas, we're not Atlantic City. We come here tonight from Louisville, Kentucky, a community not so different from Richmond, and we feel right at home here tonight. My name is Jason Sauer. I'm the Senior Vice President of Corporate Development from Churchill Downs. We brought a crew from Louisville tonight. I'd like to point two of them out. Brad Blackwell, our Executive Vice President, General Counsel, who has spent countless hours over the last several weeks on the phone with Leonard Sledge and his team to get the host community agreement in a great place. Ryan Jordan, our Senior Vice President for Real Estate Development, who oversees all of our design and construction efforts around the country. He's already hard at work with a Richmond-based team to ensure that this project, which we have obviously stepped into, is going to be everything that you expect and will be everything to make Richmond proud. Just a short word about Churchill. If you know about us, you know about us for the Kentucky Derby, an event that we've had the great pleasure to run for 149 years. The 150th will be next year. It's a great honor that we get to operate that event, great source of pride for our company, but we're also one of the larger gaming operators around the country. We have facilities in 14 different states and 30 gaming facilities. I think it's worth noting that two of those facilities, two of our most successful facilities, one in the Chicagoland area and one in the greater Cincinnati areas, are partnerships. They're projects where we aren't going it alone. We have a great joint venture partner. And that's what we have here with Urban One. Ms. Hughes, proud to stand with her tonight. And we look forward to doing exactly for this community what we've done in Chicago, what we've done in Metro Cincinnati, a great partnership with another company, and a great partnership with the community here. So again, I'd like to conclude by saying thank you for how welcome we felt here as a company. Thank you for the great work that we've already done together to get to this point. Thank you for your support tonight. We look forward to a long partnership together.
Good evening, President Jones, Vice President Nye, and to the members of the City Council. My name is Aaliyah Carter, and I serve as the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer at our historical Virginia Union University. I'm here in support of this project. I'm here because it delivers multiple benefits for our community through the idea of not just having recreation through gaming, but an opportunity for live entertainment, hotels, fine dining, and a spa experience. These are all optimal when we're looking at destinations for travelers as well as those who are part of Richmond looking for places to socialize. We're in support of the casino resort, so this is referendum number 30 and 31 for four very distinct reasons. First, it provides thousands of well-paying jobs and positions pre-construction and during, as well as over 1,300 jobs after. Second, it allows us to grow in our tourism revenues as well as those who want to come and visit the great Commonwealth of Richmond, Virginia. Fourth, it supports many of our local business owners. And fourth, it actually ultimately provides what we need in the revenues to increase the safety, as well as much of what we need to be a stronger community in the nation. So I say to you today that we're in support of both number 30 and 31, and we would like your support as well. Thank you.
President Jones, Vice President Nye, members of the City Council. My name is Jack Berry. I'm with Richmond Region Tourism, and I'm supporting two items tonight. The first is the resolution for the creation of the Tourism Improvement District. Secondly, of course, is on the casino. On the casino issue, we compete against destinations across the country, including Baltimore, Philadelphia, and St. Louis. This will greatly add to our tourism assets, including additional hotel rooms as well as entertainment venues. We've already seen the great success in the new two casinos down in Danville and Bristol on their tourism product. Also, of course, it'll create more jobs and increase tax revenue for the city. We're in support of it. Thank you so much.
Good evening, President Jones and members of the council. I'm Brian Jones. I'm president of Horgan, which we are locally based here in Richmond. Just want here to say that Horgan is proud to support the resort project, and we would love to see it move forward. We are proud to be partners delivering a world-class resort that has real and lasting benefits for all Richmonders. This is a major economic development project that will create thousands of construction jobs, over 1,000 permanent jobs, and tens of millions in revenue for Richmonders to invest in a stronger, safer city with better schools, roads, and services. We are ready to get to work. Thank you for your support and thank you for your time tonight.
Mr. President, members of the Richmond City Council, my name is Molly Armis. I'm a resident of District 5. I'm also the Virginia State Director for the Humane Society of the United States, the nation's largest, most effective animal advocacy organization. On behalf of the HSUS and our Richmond supporters, we urge adoption of Ordinance 2023-130 to ensure public safety as well as the humane treatment of animals. The private possession of wild and exotic animals, such as non-human primates, venomous snakes, crocodiles, put communities at risk. Even when born in captivity and hand-raised, they retain their wild and often predatory nature, as evidenced by hundreds of incidents in the United States, including here in Virginia in the last 2 decades alone, of people being injured and killed. They take every opportunity to escape as well. Every day, law enforcement personnel and first responders risk their lives in the line of duty, but they should never have to face something as extraordinary as a monkey or a king cobra. Ultimately, it's the taxpayer as well as the law-abiding sanctuary community that ends up footing the bill in the wake of attacks, escapes, or confiscations that are inevitable when wild animals are kept in private hands. Wild animals can carry diseases such as rabies, tuberculosis, salmonella, and herpes B. Experts, including the National Association of State Public Health Veterinarians, oppose keeping exotic and wild animals as pets. Wild animals also suffer greatly in captivity. They require substantial space, escape-proof housing, and specialized and costly care that the average person simply does not have the expertise or resources needed to care properly for. As a result, exotic animals as pets are often confined in cruel and unnatural conditions. Many monkeys, for example, are raised as if they were children in human households. It is common for non-human primates kept in these socially deprived conditions to develop neurotic and self-injurious behaviors. After the cuteness or novelty wears off, many exotic pets end up euthanized, cycled back into the exotic pet trade, or simply left to languish in neglected and isolated conditions, locked away in a cage, in a basement, or garage. The private possession of wild species is inhumane and possesses unacceptable physical and zoonotic disease risks to the community and emergency responders. Thank you for the opportunity, and we urge you to support this ordinance.
Good evening, Council President, members of the Richmond City Council. My name is Tabitha Treelor. I am a resident of the 3rd District and also here on behalf of the Richmond SPCA, which has been advocating for all animals in Central Virginia since 1891. We are here in favor of the ordinance to prohibit the ownership and keeping of wild, exotic, and venomous or poisonous reptiles. We agree with the spokesperson for the HSUS who came before us, that the keeping of these types of species is inhumane, that private individuals are not equipped to handle the biological or emotional needs of these animals. Additionally, they present particularly for venomous reptiles, first responders going into these homes with no foreknowledge of the animal's presence are put at significant risk of their lives, especially for animals for whom anti-venom is not commonly stocked in our local hospitals. The registration that is outlined in the paper that's before you would significantly improve the situation with regards to venomous and poisonous reptiles. Regarding those who spoke to falconry, we would see an amendment related to the keeping of birds as a friendly amendment. And overall, we do hope that you will move forward with this paper. Thank you.
Good evening, President Jones, Vice President Nye, honorable members of council. I'm Brian Anderson, President and CEO of Chamber RVA, your Greater Richmond Regional Chamber of Commerce, headquartered at 919 East Main Street in downtown Richmond. Come to you tonight in representing our board of directors and our 600-member companies and speaking in favor of two items on the consent agenda. The first is the amphitheater project, which we feel will bring us a national venue for entertainment for our citizens, both in the city of Richmond and our region. And secondly, the casino resort project, which again puts us on the national stage, working with nationally acclaimed partners, local partners, and regional partners to provide jobs, additional revenue for you all, and more importantly, that economic mobility that we all seek for our citizens. So our board of directors and members highly support both projects on your agenda tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Cynthia Hens. Thank you, City Council, for allowing us to speak in support of the entertainment venue with the casino. I am in full support of one event resort for the city of Richmond. I'm from New York City. I know a few entertainers from New York, none who want to visit Virginia because we have no place that they want to perform. So many are focused on the casino instead of the event venue, hotels, restaurants, 55-acre park for dogs in the wetlands. Thank you. Please put this, I can't say the word, put it to vote and let the city know it's not just for Southside, it's not just about the casino, it's about jobs. And we so need jobs. We need the roads to be repaired. Going down Jeff Davis is like going down a roller coaster. Thank you.
President Jones, Vice President Nye, members of council, good evening. My name is Charles Skelly, President of Richmond Building and Construction Trades, Business Manager for the Electricians Union, proud resident of the First District. I'm here this evening with a bunch of my folks, city resident, building trades members, folks with kids in school, folks that I've done volunteer projects in the city with some of the folks sitting in the back here this evening. We're here in favor of the destination resort, the casino papers. We want to see this project create not just jobs, but careers in the building trades. We can bring city residents into our apprenticeships and help them on the path to the middle class. Thank you very much.
President Jones and all of the members of the council, it is an honor and a pleasure to be before you today. I am Reverend Dr. Lester Fry, and I am in favor of the casino coming here to our city. I think it provides an opportunity for jobs, and I think it is going to be an asset to our city. And I think that all things will be worked out, and I'm in favor of it. And I wanted the council to know that I am in favor of it, and I know that it's going to work. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is CJ Johnson. I'm the Vice President of the McGuire Civics Association. My daughter and I, we've been in action for about 15 years in the 8th District. We're excited about what we do. We're in place because of the Honorable Reva Tremmel, who has taken time to find us, groom us, and put us in place for these opportunities. We're very excited to offer our support behind the casino. We would like for people to look past just the casino, because I'm seeing a whole lot more. I'm seeing entertainment. I'm seeing venues for restaurants, an opportunity for our seniors to be able to get out and have a safe space that they can go to, not just inside of the casino, but around the casino also. I think it's a great opportunity to give our people not just a temporary job, but an opportunity to have a space where they can lay some roots and get invested in a project that they can be proud of and tell their children about. So while the first time we didn't get it right, I'm hoping that this time we will. There's no fingers to be pointed. Everyone needs to come out and vote if they want to support this project. I'm very in favor of it. I'm doing my part. I'm going on social media. I'm out and about. I'm happy to stand here in front of you guys today and talk about it, because I think it's an exciting opportunity for Richmond to have right here locally, so that we can impress the world with our little corner. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sasha Williams, and I'm standing here again before you in support of the casino. I am a District 8 member, and Ms. Trumbull, and we want these jobs. I'm here with Unite Here. We are so excited about this casino, about the opportunities it provides for the community, the opportunity it provides for the school, me being a parent myself. So we hope that it passes. We are in support. Thank you.
Good evening, President Jones and other distinguished members of the City Council. My name is Jerry Blow. I'm in support of the destination resort as well. I think the name, people saying casino, throws a negative connotation on it. I'm not a gambler, but I do want to go to some nice shows there, restaurants. A lot of my friends who visit Vegas, they don't gamble. They go take some entertainment, sightseeing, what have you. I have lived over South Richmond for 35 years, and I can tell you, South Richmond really needs it. However, it's going to support all of Richmond. I mean, everybody's going to get a little piece of the pie, and hopefully that our property taxes will maybe go down a little bit as well. $30 million a year is a lot of money, and it's spent wisely. We can have a better fire department, pay our police department more money. It can really help. And a lot of people are talking about the gambling part of it, but isn't that true wherever a casino is? You're going to have people that may abuse it, but you can't police every person. You have to look at the needs of the many, and that's what we need. We need revenue. The city is not the richest city in the United States. We need some help. Thank you.
Good evening, Captain, Mr. Jones, all the candidates. I'm here for the casino and the result. I live in the 8th District. I don't live no more but a mile from it. And I'm for it all the way. It's going to help everybody. Southside, the whole city of Richmond. We need this. Just like the other guy said, it helped the policeman, it helped a fire station, it helped everybody. Somebody bringing something in here very good for us. It will straighten us streets out, everything we can use. But I'm for it for every way. And I know Ms. Trimble had worked really hard to try to get this. And I believe all y'all will go along with it. Because this is something we really need to build our city up. This city needs help, and we need to do it. And I appreciate y'all listening. Thank you.
And sir, could you state your name for the record, please?
My name's Donald Bryant. Thank you.
Good evening, President Jones, the rest of the council. My name is Christine Gibson. I actually reside in Stephanie Lynch's area, but I'm here to speak in favor of the casino tonight and the venue, known as both. I think that the city needs to do something a little larger. We do have Dogwood Dale, some of the other things, but we don't have anything large enough other than some of the churches that can withstand. And that one church is out there in Henrico County on Creighton Road that I think can hold the largest number of people for any musical events that we want to have. Our downtown, I guess if you want to call the Coliseum, I think it's about done. It's got several problems. We do have another center downtown that can do some things, but I think that we need something larger. Also, you can take your family out to this venue. You can have a lot of good times. There's also educational opportunities. There's also an opportunity to have training and apprenticeship, as the gentleman spoke earlier, for the electrical, the construction, and just basic learning that we need to have in the city. And this would be a free opportunity for them to learn as they earn. My brother also is an electrician with 666, so that's just neither here nor there to do it. And personally, I am out of the largest public housing unit here, Gilpin Court. I attended Virginia Union. I graduated from Union in 1982. I played basketball while there, and I presently hold a job at another large company, which I will be retiring from, but I do several other things, and I'm also a first responder, and I've been doing that for 33 years plus as a volunteer. But I think that this will offer a lot of opportunities to the citizens of Richmond, also the surrounding counties and the Tri-City area. So I'm in favor, and I hope you would consider this again on the menu. Thank you.
Hello, President Jones and City Council. My name is Cecil Miller. I'm an entrepreneur here in the city of Richmond, from my business out of the 8th District. I'm supportive of the casino. The reasons why is opportunity for the jobs, opportunity for the talents. It's not just a casino, but it's a more of an entertainment platform for TV and film, sports, and also musicians. I work with a lot of musicians here, athletes, and I believe that it will also help make a change on their focus instead of being out in the streets. Last week, it was close to home from that tragedy that I experienced and heard about, So again, I believe this will be a full opportunity to help out a lot of the youth, the seniors, to invest in the youth, and also to, having that dream. So I support the casino. Thank you.
Good evening, President Jones, Vice President Nye, City Council. Philip Goodpasture speaking on behalf of the developers of the proposed amphitheater. We want to thank the city for their help and assistance as we've gotten to this point. We think it's an opportunity to really build on the energy that exists down by the river. The community needs another venue of this scale and of this quality to attract the kind of artists that very much want to play Richmond and be here and attract the type of music tourists and activity that it will draw. We've had strong support from the community. I've heard strong support from the community, the number of how much they want to have this facility. Just wanted to say our support. Thank you.
Good evening, President Jones and council members. My name is Preston Brand. I host the greatest TV show on CW Richmond every week. And I'm here supporting the casino. A lot of great things were said about the casino tonight, but I want to bring up one point. $250,000 was spent putting out false information about the casino. And it's a shame the way it was done. Whether we like it or not, it's going to be another casino built, whether it's built here in Richmond or somewhere else. We want it in Richmond, and we like to have it in South Richmond. Money was spent putting out false, racial, prejudice information about this casino. And the voters of Richmond deserve an opportunity to vote on an issue knowing all the truth and nothing but the truth. And I'm here to full support
thank you for everything you have done so far. Thank you, Reva, for everything you have done so far to bring this casino to Richmond that will make Richmond stand out in the world, being the former capital slave trade of America to one of the top entertainment places in America. Thank you so much. And the casino is just like the churches on the corner. We ain't stopping you from building them, but everybody don't go in them. So if you don't like to gamble, you don't have to go in. But don't stop opportunities for Richmond. And this is a great opportunity. So thank you so much. I stand here tonight with the spirit of Frederick Douglass and the compassion and love for all people like Dr. Martin Luther King and the backbone of Malcolm X. We need this casino.
Good evening again. My name is Benny Gates again, 9th District, and I am here in support of this world-class resort. I mean, I'm just so excited that we even have this opportunity to come to this city, because as a little kid, all we had was a little raggedy Coliseum. And I mean, even back then, we were talking about the Coliseum, and then when you would go to other cities and you would go to there, it was like, wow, this is what it should look like. But we had the little raggedy Coliseum, but that's all we had. And then they built a convention center. So this is an opportunity that we just don't get every day. It's no money is coming out of our budget. It's a godsend. It's a blessing. I mean, it's really a blessing. And whether you support the gambling part, that's not even that important. It's the restaurants. It's the hotel. It's the jobs. It's the lasting effect this would have. This is an economic opportunity that Richmond just has not seen, period. So if you allow this not to go on, and if you guys don't come out and vote that really want this venture, the Hughes is in our presence. I mean, this is like amazing. I'm just excited because I had to go back. I'm just saying, on the flip side, I had to go back 30 years ago after that tragic incident out of the I still call it the Richmond Mosque. You can call it the Landmark. You can call it Altria. But 30 years to the day after I had graduated. And when I got out of there, I was just thinking how excited you are to see all your family. And that's the beginning of your life when you graduated from high school. It's the first time you're an adult and you can make your own decisions. You don't have to listen to what everybody else has told you. You do what you want to do. But they have that opportunity just snatched away from you just as soon as you literally walk outside. Or to the kids that witness it, they're going to be scarred for life. You have elderly people who wanted to see their young people, succeed, and they weren't allowed to come to a graduation right after that. I mean, it's just so many things that trickle out of control from the one selfish act. That's not the kind of Richmond we want to be known for, is it? Don't we want to be known for a Richmond that united as one? It's not about the 8th district, the 9th, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. It's all of Richmond will benefit from this opportunity. It's the children that are going to benefit from this opportunity. I don't have kids, but guess what? I love kids because kids are our future. Kids give you energy. Kids are honest, unlike a lot of adults. But I don't want to go into that because I'm not here to preach anything. But at the end of the day, one for all for one. We need this destination resort. And Ms. Hughes, thank you for coming out again. Just a blessing to see you in your presence. You've done so much for not just for Black people, for everyone. You created a space of safety for everyone and all of the different programs and things you've done. So I just want to personally thank you. And I also want to thank you, Reva. Like I said, you're the heart.
No, Benny,
for being a blessing.
Benny, you're supposed to dress.
I'm sorry, but I'm excited.
Thank you. You can see Benny at the next 9th District Town Hall meeting.
Good afternoon. My name is Marie Mordenhart, and I'm 86 years old, and I am a gambler, and I love the casino. As one of my children said, that I am the Uber driver for the senior citizen, and when they give me that gas money and I come down Malofen Pike, I'm in roses, and I love it. So please pass this thing. Thank you.
Madam Clerk, Mr. Clerk, are there those that have signed up virtually to speak in favor of this paper?
We have no virtual speakers, Mr. President.
Thank God. we want to bring it back to council. I know there's a few that want to speak to the paper on exotic animals. And I'll say this, out of all the protests that I kind of hoped for, it'd have been great to see a falcon in council chambers. Probably would have got a summons, but that would have been fun to see. So, Ms. Jordan, I want to recognize you at this point.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the paper ordinance 2023-130 for the exotic animals came through the Gov Ops committee that I chair. And I do think sometimes you don't get the feedback you need until it's actually up for full council vote. I'm wondering if administration would consider continuing it to take into consideration some of the feedback that was shared tonight that I don't think we had a full comprehension for when we were in committee. Thank you.
Mr. Saunders.
Thank you, Mr. President. Lincoln Saunders, Chief Administrative Officer for the city. We're happy to continue it. We'll reach out to some of the parties that came to speak tonight, hear their concerns. I believe Christy has already had some conversations with, our director of Richmond Animal Care Control, who's been championing this paper, has already had some conversations with individuals who came to speak tonight. We're happy to continue those conversations and see if we can work out some of those reasonable accommodations. I believe the last booker mentioned some specific amendments they'd like to see. We're happy to work with folks to see if we can get to consensus on it.
Thank you. It's much appreciated.
So, Ms. Jordan, you're looking to continue this for how long?
How long does the administration think it needs to work in some of these unanticipated consequences? Next council meeting? So is that the June 26th meeting? Yes. Continue to the June 26th meeting. Thank you.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Council is voting on the motion to continue item 8, ordinance 2023-130, to the Monday, June 26th council meeting. Mr. Addison.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan.
Aye.
Ms. Lambert.
Aye.
Ms. Robertson. Ms. Lynch.
Aye.
Ms. Trammell.
Aye.
Ms. Newville.
Aye.
Vice President Nye.
Aye.
And President Jones.
Aye.
That motion was approved.
We want to bring the rest of the consent agenda back to council for discussion at this time. I'm sorry. Ms. Lynch.
I'm gonna start jumping up and down over here and just hope somebody sees me. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to speak to, I think the gentleman brought up a very, 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 very good point about the critical historical site that is on the amphitheater footprint. And when I look at the current, that memorial, I really hope that we can do something even more beautiful to honor that space and the history behind it. It gives me great hope that there's going to be some fantastic, I'm sure, world-class architects that are brought in to that project, and that will really take into consideration what a unique space and how many historical not only artifacts, but pieces of architecture and stories from our very unique Richmond narrative there are to draw inspiration from and to weave into that project. So I really don't want that to be lost in the conversation and really find a way to honor that place and space and the lives that walked those grounds. And so I'm actually very excited about that opportunity. And I think I've seen some of the other outdoor amphitheaters and spaces, and I think it has a great potential to be an opportunity to tell a story for visitors and for residents. So I want to make sure that gets into the record, and that was a very great point, a great comment to bring forward. We are very excited to have this development. There's a lot of people in the district and around the city that are really, really enthused about having a gathering space like this one. I know there are some folks here that weren't in line, but we're here maybe to support it. If you all want to stand up and be recognized, just so we can. Thanks for trooping it out all the way to the end of the end of the meeting, and for joining us. And for the adjacent neighbors, we have a meeting that's scheduled tomorrow to talk about remaining concerns, how to mitigate the risks and impact, for which we already have some really, really good plans underway. So I just want to thank everyone for coming together to talk about that, and to continue the conversation with us and with the community and with the neighbors. We appreciate that, and look forward to continuing to work together to see this come to life and see it be a great thing for our city and for our neighbors. Thank you.
Dr. Newbill.
Thank you, President Jones. I'd like to thank Mr. Rogers for his comments relative to the amphitheater site. And similarly, would like to make sure that as we look at the site, that we are vigilant in terms of any historic recognition that was present and how we include that, as well as I'm understanding there was a piece of art installation that was there, and I'm not totally sure what's become of that, but that there would be a commitment on the part of the developers to ensure that that historic element that was referenced is a part of the offering that this pretty fantastic development will be in our city and in our region. So similarly, I would like to make sure that with the administration working with the developers, and again, it's a great project. Just want to make sure that that element is also incorporated. So, thank you.
Ms. Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to thank all that came out tonight to speak in support or in opposition here on our consent agenda. Really grateful for the engagement with the community. I just want to say that jobs are necessary for our Richmonders. And I'm just excited and honored to be on this council because when this issue for the casino resort and spa, because we do not have a spa here in Richmond, this is one thing that I'm excited about. Everyone got misinformation. Not only that, though, we decided on this issue during a real unprecedented time. We were going through COVID. So there was a lot of just misinformation. As I talked to people in my district, I was getting comments like sex trafficking and shore pump will affect us having a casino. And I'm like, come on, people, we can't go down this road of just falsities and just untruths. This is a real unique opportunity for us as a city to really heal from our past. At the end of the day, I don't think we've had a minute to just take a breath once the monuments have come down, after the riots, even dealing with COVID. This is a real opportunity for us to have some intentional regional collaboration. I'm excited. I appreciate my colleagues for sticking this through. This is an opportunity. Everyone compares us to Henrico. The 70-30 rule, I have to educate people on this. 70% residential, 30% commercial. Here in the city of Richmond, we're 90% residential and 10% commercial. At the end of the day, if we want to be so much like Henrico, we got to say yes to projects. We got to say yes to being in business. And so at the end of the day, I'm in support of revenue. I'm in support of allocating some of these funds for education. But I'm in support of a project that isn't going to cost us anything. And this is something that can actually help us bring our tax rate down. You guys have been saying, when are we going to lower our taxes? Well, we got to say yes to projects like this in order for us to do so. So I appreciate everyone that came out, voiced their concerns. But now it's time for us to say yes. It's time for us to grow as a city even more together.
So I appreciate everybody and their thoughts. I'm in support of the amphitheater project. Growing up in this city, it's always been boring to me. That's why I moved to LA for 10 years, just to have some excitement. So I'm just proud to be on this council. I'm proud to be voting on projects that's bringing more revenue to our city. And I'm proud that this is going to bring more business to our city and give folks an opportunity to be entrepreneurs, be able to get some of this capital investment that's happening. So I appreciate all of you all, and let's go, Richmond.
Ms. Trammell?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank my colleague for all of her nice comments. And I want to thank definitely all of my citizens that came down here tonight from the 8th District and everyone else that came here to speak in reference to the One Casino and Resort. As everyone has said, it's not going to cost the city taxpayers a dime. They're going to pay for it. And it's going to bring in so much revenue into our city. And it's just not for the 8th District, it is for the city all over. For our schools, for public safety, entertainment, sports. Just the other day, I was at the airport meeting because I'm on a commission meeting, and Jack Berry spoke, and he said the things that are bringing the citizens to move into Richmond is sports and entertainment, restaurants. That's what the One Casino and Resort is going to offer us, and that is going to put us on the map for things, for a good thing, not for bad things, good things, jobs, 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 and also we don't even have a place over here where we can really. In Southside, we can have a great old big, a park with, 55 acres where we can have entertainment at night, like the Chesterfield and Henrico. They have places where they can have entertainment at night, concerts. We're going to have that now. We're definitely going to have that. And I have been on board ever since the mayor and I had this conversation back in November of 2020. Today, June the 12th, 2023, I'm still in full support of One Casino Resort. And I thank Kathy Hughes for coming down here tonight. I thank Alfred Liggins and the mayor for coming to our 8th District meeting last Thursday night, where the citizens were there, over 200 some that were inside, many outside trying to get in, could not get in. Fire marshal said we couldn't let them in. And Cruz, thank you for all that you did by putting it out there on social media. So many people have called me asking, when's the vote? What do we do now? If it gets passed tonight, we know that it goes to another, I guess, to the courts or whatever, but we're already campaigning. We're not going to stop. We haven't stopped since 2021. And so I pray my colleagues will all vote for this tonight, and so we can move Richmond forward. Thank you so much.
Dr. Newman?
Thank you, President Jones. I would like to speak to and articulate my support for this incredible economic development project that is before this body this evening, that has multiple components, one of which happens to be a casino, but it's also an entertainment venue, hotel, and portends opportunity for jobs and revenue and other community benefits that will impact certainly the 8th District, but will be catalytic for overall growth and development across the city. And so thank Ms. Hughes for her commitment and efforts to date. I look forward to supporting this economic development project. And again, I'm emphasizing because somehow in the discussions it gets touted for many as a casino. And yes, a casino is a component of it, but it is a major economic development initiative and a major economic development project that will have, and I think someone said and talked about, in addition to, I think she's gone already, our you're one resident who's indicated she's clearly wanting to visit the casino. There are many who are clearly wanting to have opportunities for entertainment and any number of jobs, et cetera. So thank you, Mr. President. I've waxed on much longer, but to say I support this economic development project and look forward to its coming to fruition in our city.
Madam Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say to the citizens in Richmond, the agenda that we have before us tonight is an extremely exciting agenda. And I'm grateful to have the opportunity to be serving on this council at this time in the city of Richmond. You know, in addition to, and I want to thank all of you that came down to speak, those to speak in support, as well as those to speak in opposition, because even with those voices of opposition, there are things that we learn in the process that help us to move things forward in a much, much more aggressive and better way than perhaps we had realized. So every voice has an important message and adds value. And so I want to thank all of you for coming down and spending the time with us and sharing your viewpoints. But I want to say to the citizens, yes, this is a very exciting agenda that we have in front of us tonight. We have before us an opportunity to create a tourism improvement district, which is big for the city of Richmond. It's big for the entire metropolitan area, but before us, we have that. We have the opportunity to bring first-class entertainment center with the casino and all of the other amenities that come along with that. I don't want us to fail to recognize what is all being done at this location, and thank Ms. Trammell for her leadership and all of us in the process of making sure that we are moving economic development. We also have in this docket tonight, we are expanding our opportunity to provide tax relief for seniors, which is a great thing. An opportunity to recognize an outstanding leader in the city that has done work from the school board to the state house to being the mayor of the city of Richmond, Dr. Dwight Jones. We have new trails. We have funding from the federal government, $8.2 million, to continue to develop our communities and provide the necessary housing and other services that we know that are needed in the city. We're building and repairing bridges in the city. So I just want you all to realize that there is a lot of really significant and extremely valuable work that is being done in this city at this time. And I am grateful for the opportunity to be a part of this, and I look forward to supporting all of these papers tonight that are here on the consent agenda. Thank you, Dr. Jones.
Madam Vice President Nye.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. Couple quick comments about some items on the agenda. The amphitheater, Mr. Rogers, thank you for coming down tonight for your comments, and we'll be advocating to preserve the historic markers. I also wanted to mention with the amphitheater that I personally had asked a lot of questions, as well as this council, just about the community benefits surrounding the amphitheater. The renderings and everything, super exciting. I'm very excited to have an entertainment space on the riverfront. But the financial benefits that we're giving to this group raised some questions with me. So I am really viewing it as more of a public-private partnership based on the access that the city is going to have to the venue. I believe we're going to be able to program as many events as the developer is going to be programming, and that more to come on that. But I just want folks to know and to, reach out with events that you think could be programmed there, because we're still sort of developing that idea. And obviously this structure still has to be built, and it's going to be a couple years until it opens. But there's a lot of opportunity there to invite the community in. Obviously, there's the paid music events and concerts. However, there's going to be access for the community, and there's also going to be a public restroom, which is a little thing, but if you've been down in that area, you know it's a really big thing because there are not any restrooms down there. That's one thing. I also wanted to mention the Reedy Creek Trail that is on the agenda for tonight, and just give a shout out to friends of the James River Park System. And if the clerk could please add me as a patron to 2023 149 and 2023 155. This is going to be a pedestrian trail and bike trail that is near the Reedy Creek parking lot and runs alongside of the fire road that keeps all of our bikers, walkers, dogs off of that access road, because that's where our park vehicles go in and out. And they use, you know, the equipment and everything. They have the diggers and the trash trucks and all that stuff down there. So it's a safety thing. It's going to be great. I'm really excited that Park shared a little map with me. And we have so many park users. I mean, I know we're well over a million annual park users, and this is great. And I'm glad we're partnering with Friends of James River Park on this. And lastly, the casino. I know my colleague in the 8th District has been fighting for this for so long, and development in Southside is so important. The vote was really narrow last time, and I think it's good to put it out to the residents again. And I just want to express for folks who are listening tonight, you know, one of the big misconceptions during the referendum the last time is that Richmond was making fiscal investments. The city of Richmond was giving away land, was giving away incentives, was doing all of these things, and we weren't. This is purely revenue for us. And I haven't seen a deal like this since I've been on council. So it is great for economic development for the 8th District and for the South Side and for the city. And just want to thank my colleague for all of her work on that.
Before we vote, I lost a third of my lung. Lung cancer. Took a third of my lung. Still not here to tell anyone what to smoke, when to smoke, how to smoke. It's their personal choice. It's their personal preference. Same with alcohol. And I remember when Rosie's first came into a discussion, people had a concern about whether or not, as a pastor, I would support gambling and things of that nature. And it's interesting the assumptions people make about pastors. I told them most of my church gambles. They just do. Some would say they gamble listening to me each week. But I don't believe in telling people what to do with their paychecks. I don't believe it's my role to legislate how folk choose to celebrate, how folk choose to enjoy, how folk choose to spend. I don't think that's the role of government. We did listen to the people in the last referendum. Democracy was served because no shovels went into the ground the next week. We heard. And we could talk about all the issues about why it did and didn't. Ultimately, I believe the citizens should have an opportunity to vote on this next time. I just firmly believe that. We can't compare the deal. There's no comparison to this deal. It just isn't. Whether it's the amphitheater, whether it it's Old Navy Hill, whether it's the Diamond District. Not one penny of taxpayer dollars is going into it. There is no tax incremental financing in this at all. You start making money day one day 30, technically, as a city. People are going to gamble. I know that. I would be remiss if they drove down the street to Petersburg to do it. And that I would much rather capture those dollars as a locality. As well, Jay Lark has already stated who would stand to make and generate the most revenue. Richmond versus Petersburg, Richmond hands down. It's in a part of the city, believe it or not, that most people on South Side don't go to every day. And I don't think we talk about that enough. It's in an area that will probably never see a $500 million investment. And that's not to condemn that area. That is just simply to speak the truth. That area will probably never see a $500 million investment. So you take this deal. You take the deal. Every day and twice on Sunday. You take the deal. Wish them the best. Step back. But it is something that will revolutionize that part of the city. We're going to hear dog whistles. We know they are. Crime this, crime that. Those are just dog whistles. The studies do not suggest that. And the statistics don't suggest that. Crime went up in the 9th district by Rosie's. We didn't need Rosie's help. But the number of opioid addictions that we have right at Carnation and Midlothian Turnpike, that has nothing to do with Rosie's. And the thing that Rosie's did, they put a bunch of lights up and cameras. So it stopped a lot of nonsense that went on in the 9th district. Most of the people that are concerned about the South Side never go to the South Side. So please stop speaking on behalf of South Side residents. They are grown. I love this woman who came down, 86 years old, and she said, I gamble. God bless her. If you don't want it, just say you don't want it. Don't say you know what's best for a sister who's 86 doing what she chooses to do. That was probably the most significant statement out of everything that was said this evening. She's doing what she chooses. And far be it from anyone, regardless your station in life, to try and dictate what another person does. Still wish would have saw Falcon tonight, but with that, we'll call the question. Madam Clerk.
Council is voting on the consent agenda items as presented, with the exception of item 8, ordinance 2023-130, which was continued to the Monday, June 26th council meeting. Mr. Addison.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan.
Aye to all items except for 36. Thank you.
Ms. Lambert.
Overwhelmingly, yes.
Ms. Robertson. Ms. Lynch.
Aye.
Ms. Trammell.
Aye.
Ms. Newbill.
Aye.
Vice President Nye.
Aye.
And President Jones.
Aye.
Those papers have been adopted.
Madam Clerk, are there papers to amend this evening?
Yes, there are. And the first is a motion to amend for ordinance number 2023-090 to authorize the special use of 708 China Street for the purpose of a two-family detached dwelling. The amendment to that paper is as follows. Page 3, line 11, after the word dated, strike the date February 17, 2022, and insert the date May 16, 2023. I'll need a motion to accept the amendment as read and to continue this paper to the Monday, June 26th council meeting. Councilmember Lynch, will you make that motion?
So moved, Madam Clerk.
Second.
Council is now voting on the motion to amend and continue ordinance number 2023-090 to the June 26th council meeting as stated. Mr. Addison?
Aye.
Ms. Jordan? Ms. Roberts? Ms. Robertson? That was Ms. Lambert. Ms. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Trammell? Aye. Ms. Newbill?
Aye.
Vice President Nye? President Jones?
Aye.
That motion has been approved. And that paper will be before you again as amended on June 26th.
Madam Clerk, let's move on to approval of minutes.
We do have two other motions to amend first that we need to
Sorry.
complete.
Go ahead.
The next motion is for ordinance number 2023-121 to authorize a special use of 3207 Hermitage Road for the purpose of an office and contractor warehouse with outdoor storage and to repeal ordinance number 60-227-197 and ordinance number 60-120-93. The amendment to that paper is as follows. Page 3, line 13, after the comma following the date August 1st, 2022, insert the word "and." Page 3, line 14, after the word "office," strike the comma followed by the text 3701 Hermitage Road, Richmond, Virginia 23230, and insert a hyphen followed by the text "renovation and addition." Page 3, line 15, after the word "dated," strike the date August 25th, 2022, and insert the date May 15, 2023. After the comma following the inserted date May 15, 2023, strike the text "and the plans entitled Sherwood Medical Center, 3201 Hermitage Road, Richmond, Virginia, prepared by Badina and Freeman Architects and dated June 20th, 1960 in the following comma. Page 4, line 15, at the beginning of the line, insert a subdivision letter G, followed by the text "warehouse delivery hours shall be limited to 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday," followed by a period. I will need a motion to accept this amendment as read and to continue this paper to the Monday, June 26th council meeting. President.
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Jordan. And Mr. Addison, will you second that motion?
Second.
Thank you. Council is voting on the motion to amend and continue ordinance number 2023-121 to the June 26th council meeting as stated. Mr. Addison.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan. Ms. Robertson. Ms. Newbill. Aye. President Jones.
Aye.
That motion has been approved and that paper will be before you again as amended on June 26th. The last motion to amend is for ordinance number 2023-157 to authorize a special use of 301 West 6th Street for the purpose of a multifamily dwelling containing up to 553 dwelling units with off-street parking. The amendment to that paper is as follows. Page 5, line 2, after the comma following the text "short-term," strike the text "off-site" and insert the text "on-site." Page 5, line 4, at the beginning of the line, insert a subsection H followed by the text "facilities for the relief of dogs shall be constructed on the portion of the property shown and labeled as outdoor amenity space on the layout plan, which is sheet C4 of the plans," followed by a period. Page 5, line 6, at the beginning of the line, insert a subsection I followed by the text "prior to the issuance of a building permit, the owner shall dedicate a pedestrian access easement to the public for the portion of the property 1 shown and labeled as amenity outdoor space on the layout plan, which is sheet C4 of the plans, and 2 over a portion of the pedestrian improvements connecting the amenity outdoor space and the public right of way at Perry Street," followed by a period. I will need a motion to accept the amendment as read and to continue this paper to the Monday, June 26th council meeting. Councilmember Robertson, will you make that motion?
So moved. Second. So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Robertson. Council is now voting on the motion to amend and continue ordinance number 2023-157 to the June 26th council meeting as stated. Mr. Addison.
Aye.
Ms. Jordan.
Aye.
Ms. Lambert. Ms. Robertson. Ms. Trammell. Ms. Newbill.
Aye.
President Jones. That motion has been approved and that paper will be before you again as amended on June 26th.
Madam Clerk, let's move on to approval of minutes.
The minutes to be approved are from the May 22nd, 2023, 4 p.m. informal meeting and 6 p.m. formal meeting. If there are no amendments or corrections, then the meeting minutes will stand approved as presented. Those minutes have been approved.
Madam Clerk, please read the introductory papers for this evening.
Mr. President, the introduction papers for this evening are as follows. The following legislation will be considered for recommendation at June 15th Finance and Economic Development Standing Committee meeting at 1 p.m. An ordinance to amend FY23 general fund budget by changing the uses and allocation of the council district funds for the second district for the use of the council member. An ordinance to amend FY23 general fund budget to appropriate $18 million of FY23 to various city departments and non-departmental agencies to create certain new line items. An ordinance to authorize the CAO to accept the second tranche of American Rescue Plan Act funds of $10 million from the United States Department of the Treasury to amend the FY23 budget by increasing revenues for certain agencies by $8 million of ARPA funding from the Department of Housing and Community Development for the purpose of funding the city's efforts to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic and the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. An ordinance to authorize the CAO to submit Program Year 23 FY24 Annual Action Plan to HUD as an application for the receipt of CDBG funds, home funds, ESG funds, and HOPWA funds to accept funds from HUD of $9 million and to appropriate for various projects. An ordinance to amend Ordinance 2019-188 to authorize the CAO to submit and amend FY20 annual action plans to HUD as an application for the receipt of CDBG funds, home funds, ESG funds, and HOPWA funds, accepted funds from HUD for various projects to reappropriate $11,000 from ESG CV funds for the purpose of providing funds to Emergency Shelter Inc., doing business as Home Again for homeless men and family shelters. An ordinance to authorize the CAO to execute a deed lease agreement between the city and the Virginia Port Authority for leasing of the property 5000 Deepwater Terminal Road. An ordinance to authorize the CAO to execute a lease agreement between the city and VCU Health System Authority for the purpose of permitting access to the property located at 500 North 10th Street to facilitate the demolition of the public safety building. An ordinance to approve the work plan and budget for FY ending June 30th, 2024 for the services in downtown Richmond Special Service and Assessment Districts. An ordinance to amend city code concerning joint and cooperative procurement for the purpose of conforming the city's law to optional provisions of VA code. A resolution to adopt city code procedures for utilizing construction management or design build contracts. The following legislation will be considered for recommendation at June 20th Land Use, Housing, and Transportation Standing Committee meeting at 3 p.m. An ordinance to designate the 5100 block of Beddington Road in honor of the late Raymond H. Boone and Jean P. Boone. The following legislation will be considered at Monday, June 26th council meeting at 6 p.m. An ordinance to authorize the CAO to execute a grant contract between the city and the Liberation Church, Inc. for the purpose of implementing a voluntary gun buyback event in the city. The following legislation will be considered for recommendation at June 28th Governmental Operations Standing Committee meeting at 1 p.m. An ordinance to amend city code for the purpose of establishing a Public Utilities and Services Commission. The following legislation will be considered for recommendation at the July 13th Education and Human Services Standing Committee meeting at 2 p.m. A resolution to approve the City of Richmond Plan of Services under the Virginia Juvenile Community Crime Control Act.
The following legislation will be considered for recommendation at Monday's July 17th Planning Commission meeting at 1:30 p.m. An ordinance to authorize the special use of 1203 North 19th Street for the purpose of a single-family detached dwelling. An ordinance to authorize the special use of 200 West Marshall Street for the purpose of a mixed-use building concerning permitted principal and accessory uses in the B4 Central Business District. An ordinance to authorize the special use of 2615 Q Street for the purpose of a single-family detached dwelling. Mr. President, that concludes the reading of the introduction papers.
Let's move on to reports and announcements, starting with Councilmember Addison.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. Thank you, everyone who attended our district meeting last week. It's been a tough week with all the news from the Tuesday issue, and I know my students from TJ High School that were arriving at the time of the horrific shooting are definitely still reeling from the realities of what happened. But I thank you for all the surprise and support that we have been able to provide our city families as well as our students, particularly as they're celebrating this next chapter of life. And we hope that it's able to grow and support their next steps as well. Not much left to address except for the fact that we've got a couple weeks left of our emergency sewer line replacement in regards to Libby and Cary Street Road in the near West End. We look forward to that project being completed. We also have some work on some speed tables and some other details that come as well. We'll be having an ice cream social because it seems like that is a theme of all council members to do. So I have not had one in a while, so we're going to bring that back. That'll be July 29th. From 2 to 4. More details to come. Stay tuned in our newsletter, and we'll share more information as we get the details finalized. We look forward to seeing you probably later this summer at that event. That'll be our next town hall meeting. Stay tuned with any newsletter updates. Go to our website, rvafirstdistrict.com. Sign up for our newsletter if you don't receive it. You can also find it from the Museum District Association as well as the West Hampton Citizens Association as well. We appreciate all your questions and emails. Please keep them coming for services and other needs as well. RVA 301 is a great place. You can also email us as well for andreas.addison@rva.gov, whitney.brown@rva.gov, and of course, call us 646-5935. Thank you.
Ms. Jordan.
Thank you, President Jones. First off, I want to remind everyone about the Healthy Homes Grant. This was money that City Council fought for in the ARPA process, and for qualifying homeowners, you can receive a grant from the city. That means you don't have to pay it back. That's money through ARPA to you that you do not have to pay back for repairs that can cost up to $14,999. So just $1 short of $15,000. And we want folks to be able to do these moderate home repairs, improve their sustainability, their health, and the affordability of their home. For more information, you can contact Housing and Community Development, 804-646-4078. Our next district meeting is going to be on June 28th at 6 p.m. And the topic will be accessory dwelling units. So those are the granny flats that the city planning department right now is working on a new language and regulation for. We will have the planning director at the meeting, and there will be time for Q&A. I would also like to give notice to folks that the Green Grants program that we fought for also during ARPA is now open. So the Neighborhood Climate Resilient Grant Program is now live. This supports nonprofit organizations and partners in Richmond on the front lines of climate change throughout the city, including workforce training for climate resilience, parks and green space, facility upgrades, and more. There is no cap and no minimum on the amount of funding that can be awarded. Applications are due by August 4th and can be accessed at rva.gov/sustainability/NCR grant program. I'll let my other colleagues talk about early voting, and I'll close with Charter Review Commission. The Charter Review Commission wants to hear from everyone. Your input is incredibly important. So please take their survey, which closes on June 21st. You can find that on the Charter Commission's webpage, which you can find by searching Richmond Charter Review Commission. If you have thoughts you want to share, please take the time to fill out the survey and share with your networks. The commission will also be holding a public town hall meeting this Thursday from 6 to 8 at the East District Initiative Center. That's 6 to 8 at 701 North 25th Street. The meeting is also accessible by Microsoft Teams. To contact my office, you can dial 804-646-6532, find me on social media at Catherine J. RVA, or email me at catherine.jordan@rva.gov, and be sure to include 2nd District Liaison Sven.phillipson@rva.gov. Thank you.
Ms. Lambert?
Thank you, Mr. Jones. First, I'd like to congratulate all the 2023 graduates, especially my cousin Kendall, who was not able to walk on Tuesday because of the shooting. My hearts and prayers goes out to all of the students, faculty, and staff, especially the parents having to go through that ordeal. I'm truly heartbroken, but also happy that the students were able to make this accomplishment for their education. Sports backers, athlete of the month, want to give a shout out to Emmanuel Wright Anthony. He's a remarkable senior at the illustrious 3rd District John Marshall High School, which was the #1 basketball team in the nation. Just want to give that a shout out. But I just want to congratulate him for being named Sports Backers Scholar Athlete of the Month. He's a decorated track star. Emmanuel has the 3rd highest GPA in his class, and as a member of the National Honor Society, and served in my student advisory council. In the fall, he'll be attending Virginia State University, go Trojans, on a presidential scholarship where he will study computer engineering. Way to go, Emmanuel. We're really happy and proud of our RPS students and graduates. Also, this week, 3rd District Workforce Empowerment Fair. I, along with the Office of Community Wealth Building, will have a career and workforce empowerment fair on Wednesday, June 14th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Come on out. It's a lot of resources and information. Those who are looking for employment, those who are looking for assistance with any type of need within the community, they will be out there. I'm really excited about that. This is something that our community is in desperate need of, is opportunities. Also, last Wednesday, we renamed the street after Elizabeth B. Cooper in the Westwood neighborhood. I wanted to thank my colleague, but he didn't already left already. But he, in the 1st District, we did a great deed of renaming the street. Also, June primary election is coming up. Early voting ends June 17th. The next election primary for the 14th Senate District and the 79th House District, early voting for this election will be from until June 17th. The offices of elections is located at 2134 West Laburnum Ave. Early voting will be from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday, June 17th. Please note that City Hall nor Hickory Hill Community Center will not be used as early voting site for this election. The 3rd District election day is Tuesday, June 20th. Regular voting locations, just those in the 3rd District, the Obama Elementary polling place will not be available. They have transferred everyone to the MAPS location, which is the old Atley Church on Mossad Avenue. Folks should have gotten letters in the mail noting that that polling place will be used for this primary. And Obama Elementary will be back at regular polling place for the general election in November. If you have any questions about your registration, the election, or any other voting related matter, please call 804-646-5950, or you can email electionofficer@rva.gov. Also, the Jubilee in June 2023 will be this Sunday, June 18th at the Intermediate Terminal, 3101 Wharf Street. So with Parks and Recreation, it's a city event, and it's going to be a lot of fun down by the water. And then also those of you that have a tip or have a clue or have video or anything that occurred last Tuesday, please contact the tip line for the mass shooting. And that number is 804-646-6741. We need to make sure that we are detailed as possible to help the police with any detail about this tragedy. We need all hands on deck and all prayers on deck. Those of you that have not signed up for the 3rd District newsletter, it went out today. It's packed with information that you can use that helps you navigate our district. And that is www.3rd.rva.com. Thank you, Mr. President. You all be blessed and travel home safely. Thank you.
Councilor Robertson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A few announcements for the district. The Richmond Redevelopment Housing Authority will be hosting a job fair tomorrow from 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock at the Calhoun Center for all graduating students. So anyone that is looking for a job and wants to, there are several employers that will be there. Bring your resumes with you. If you have any questions in regards to that, please call 804-780-4832. There will also be a community meeting this week, Thursday, June the 15th, from 5 o'clock to 7:30, 5:30 to 7:30, at the Chaco Apartments that are located at 206 Hospital Street. And that meeting is to address an artwork that is being placed on the Chaco Hill African American burial grounds right at the entrance into Highland Park. There's a lot of history associated with this location, and we want the community to have an opportunity to weigh in on the artwork that will be placed on this building until we finally make a final decision on what we're going to do with the building. Also, we've already mentioned about the election, so I'm going to skip over that. I want to also inform you that DPU, I'm making some changes to their hours as it relates to the call center. I would advise you to pick up the phone and give them a call as well to find out more detail as to exactly what those hour changes will be. There will also be an employment and resource fair this Thursday from 10 to 2 at the Hotchkiss Community Center. For more information on that, please call 804-215-8622. And we too would like to express our greatest sorrow for the mass shooting that took place this week. Congratulations to all of our graduates, and want them to stay encouraged and not let this be a deterrent as it relates to their future and where they're going. We want to thank Richmond Public Schools for the work that they did in the process of helping all of us to adjust to the tragedy that we experienced. And a special thanks to our police department and our chief and all of the support services that were brought to the city to support us. And we will continue to work diligently to reduce gun violence in the city of Richmond. Thank you very much.
Councilwoman Lynch.
You. First of all, a huge hats off. We are so excited for our George Wythe graduates who are walking tomorrow at 9 a.m. at John Marshall High School. We're going to be really excited and just a really great opportunity to be together tomorrow after last week, which was so heavy for all of our hearts, but particularly that mama and her family and what they're going through. Still, that is not a wound that heals quickly or easily, and our hearts continue to remain with them. Going through the list of events. Yeah, I got it right. I know. Oh my goodness. I did say 9. I think I was looking at the clock. At 9. That's how long I've been in here, y'all. I apologize. I'm glad you checked me because that was in my calendar too. See, Mama Newville always got me because I was about to show up at John Marshall at 9 a.m. tomorrow. At noon tomorrow, we will be celebrating our Bulldogs graduating at John Marshall for the George Wythe grads. Thank you so much for the correction. This Saturday, we are having a wonderful summer kickoff on June 17th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Westover Hills Community Center. That is going to be, the purpose of that event is to bring unity and healing to the community. We'll be honoring Marquia Dixon's father, Mark Dixon, with a Unity Award, as well as a host of other special events from the community. We're going to be doing bike giveaways and raffles and whatnot. It's going to be a really fun event to bring some lightheartedness and some good spirits and some togetherness from the community. We hope you can attend. And thank you so much to Monica Lucas and the others that have been involved in bringing that event together. There's also a whole host of Juneteenth events going on Saturday, well, throughout the weekend. I will not go through that whole list, but I look forward to seeing you all out there this weekend. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful time to be together. We have some meetings coming up immediately this coming Tuesday. It's going to be a real marathon of a Tuesday for us in the 5th District. We've got Bird Park at 6 at the Roundhouse. We've got the Oregon Hill neighborhood meeting and that is around the amphitheater. That will be by Zoom, and they've posted that on their Facebook website. The Carolina Civic Association board is meeting at 6:30. That is posted to their email listserv. And our Metro Richmond Young Democrats are also hosting their monthly get together at Legend Brewing. I look forward to being at all those places. And of course, I'd be remiss not to let you know that Stonewall Place Tenant Council is also meeting at 2 p.m. I'll be there with my seniors, celebrating with them tomorrow as well. I believe I've covered the gamut of meetings and events for the district. Oh, Social Services Appreciation Block Party. Join us on Friday from 3 to 7 as we honor our Department of Social Service employees. You all should have received an invite for that. That is a really, really cool opportunity to come down, meet your DSS workers and the folks who are working behind the scenes every day to help our citizens gain access to benefits, to help them with a myriad of family challenges in our Child Welfare and Family Services Division. The 400 or so employees at DSS are all wonderful angels on earth, so it's a great opportunity to honor and celebrate them. They often do not get the thanks that they deserve, but they're ever much the first responders and the folks on the ground that are really rolling up their sleeves and helping our residents. So that will be from 3 to 7 at the 17th Street Farmers Market. And it's our second annual one, so really excited to keep this tradition going. Thank you.
Ms. Trammell?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say that I'm just so grateful that all the speakers came here from the 8th District, 9th District, and others to speak for our casino and resort. And I'm glad that that the people are texting me right now and calling and saying, can we start tomorrow? We've never stopped. We've never stopped. And I know that, and they're asking me for some purple shirts. I will contact Ms. Kathy Hughes to see how I can get some more purple shirts so we can give them out. Just pray that that we will get our opportunity, not just for the 8th District, but for the whole city, for this casino and resort. Like we just said, there's going to be acres of land for parties and concerts and like I said earlier, Jack Berry had spoke at the airport meeting talking about what's coming into Richmond, what's attracting the people to Richmond is sports, entertainment, restaurants, those. And that's what we're all about. And it's just not for the 8th District, it's for the whole city of Richmond. Also, I want to say that that we had a fire over there at Woodland Crossing this weekend, and thank God that nobody was killed or seriously hurt. I'm still getting more information from the fire chief in reference to what happened, and also it happened like 3 in the morning. So by the grace of God, everybody was able to get out. I think it was like 6 families that no longer have a place there. They have to find a new place to live till they can put them back or whatever they're going to do. Also, last Tuesday, we met with the captain, I think it was Wednesday, we met with Captain Keyshawn Mans at 2nd Precinct with the new owners that's going to be at the Laura Lafayette Apartments over there on Ruffin Road. and Lafayette Apartments, not Laura Lafayette, it's Lafayette Apartments. I'm sorry. She must be thinking about me. But anyway, they're going to remodel those apartments. It's going to be under new ownership, and it's going to be really, really good for that area. Also, the captain, he offered to have some more police officers patrolling the area, especially late at night, because we know that's when some of the crime is taking place. And they're going to be meeting with the Davy Garden Civic Association to see what, how they can work together too. Because we know that the $20 million is going to go over there to the T.B. Smith Community Center. And that is something that the mayor kept to those children and to those citizens all in that area. It would be something for everybody. Also, we're going to get a new fire station, 21. It's going to be tore down very, very soon. They're going to start tearing it down and build a brand new station 21. This right here is your free smoke alarm. If you call 646-1526, those firefighters will come out there to your home. They'll install the smoke alarm for you. If it needs a battery, they'll put the battery in. You must have a working smoke alarm in order to save your life and to save the people that are in your apartment or in your home. If you have any questions, you can call my home at 804-233-7382 or my personal cell 804-240-5050. And I just want to say that our previous city attorney, Haskell Brown, worked very hard with the casino. I know that many nights I called him, probably woke him up, and some questions that I had and would, did not fully understand some of the papers. And I don't want to leave him out. I just want to give a thank you to him and to his staff that worked on the casino. And also we have a new city attorney who has said that she is willing to work with all of us and to help us move our projects forward. Thank you, Mr. President.
Dr. DeVille?
Thank you, President Jones. I would like to first thank Ms. Janine Bell and the Legbar Folklore Society for their freedom celebration that was held this weekend, Saturday at the Manchester Dock and Sunday at the African Burial Ground, commemorating Juneteenth and all that that has meant for us as a people historically. So I'd like to first just express that sincere thanks and appreciation. I'd like to encourage, this announcement was made already, but I want to really encourage Richmonders and East Enders to come out Thursday, June 15th at 6 p.m. at the East District Center, 701 North 25th Street to hear presentation regarding charter review ideas, as well as to be able to voice your comment. This is the city's charter, and there is opportunity for both presentation of ideas as well as public comment. Again, this Thursday, June 15, 6 p.m., East District Center, 701 North 25th Street. This Sunday, I join with the Parks and Recreation Communities and Facilities and cordially inviting you to the Jubilation in June 2023, Sunday, June 18, 3 p.m. at the Intermediate Terminal, 3101 4th Street. Admission is free. Please come out and continue to participate in the Juneteenth celebrations. I want to certainly congratulate all of our Richmond Public School student graduates. I especially want to graduate those in the East District today. Franklin Military School graduated, as well as Armstrong High School. It was just in light of everything going on, it was inspirational to see that still our young people are focused and committed and look forward to bright futures for them all. Thank you, Mr. President.
Vice President Nye.
Thank you, President Jones. At first, I want to thank you, President Jones, for honoring the folks who lost their lives last week at the Huguenot graduation. Last week was a tough week for our city and our children, and it's been a lot. I know that our students were some were disappointed that school was canceled early, and I totally understand the decision to do that. I feel like there might be some families that need some supports because they weren't able to come back to school and they didn't have a space to necessarily talk about what was going on. So please reach out to our office if you need support. We have resources, and we want to support our children and our families and whoever needs them. And I also wanted to thank residents that we've heard from wanting to help the family, and we also have resources for that as well. And again, my heart just goes out to the family and the Huguenot community in this situation. Yesterday, we had an ice cream social, and it was nice to be able to gather together and good to see our residents. And I was grateful for so many folks that took their time out of their day to come by and see us. Westover Hills also had a great event this weekend, and it was an opportunity for the families to gather together and raise a little bit of money. And I just wanted to thank those families who are working together on behalf of the students to raise money and support the PTA. We have had several traffic meetings over the last couple of weeks, and we know that folks are anxious to share their thoughts with us on bike lanes on Westover Hills, as well as infrastructure and the Jink Road Improvement Project in front of Westover Hills Elementary School. So if you have any questions about either of those projects, or if you have any information you want to share with us, please reach out to my office. You can reach out to me at 804-503-1313, or you can call 4th District Liaison Timmy Seibert at 804-646-5646. Thank you.
Definitely want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. Again, it's been said already, but